Hey guys, Gabriel the Disciples here, and today we're going to be looking over Predaplant Despia, which is a deck that I played a lot. I played it for a regional. It was Folkstone, which we got a round 1 loss for being late. But the deck was like super good in that regional, and I played it without the trap card, which really hurt. But the deck went like X1, basically in rounds I could play, except round 1. And then I played this a lot on DB. It's very fun. I think it's very good in the mirror match. My main issue with it is that it kind of suffers from the same issues Despia has. So I don't think it's like very well positioned because everyone playing D-Barriers and anti-spell and all that crap. But regardless, I kind of want to give it a profile. I know some people play this for YCS Hartford, yeah. So Jesse and Pack played the list. It was playing Preda Practice, which is a card I don't play. So you can call this budget Predaplants. I actually think Preda Practice is a bit of a weird card. I can discuss it a bit more, but I think it's a bit bait. Because it only works when you already have a Predaplant, so you need to play more Predaplant, and you don't want to draw most of the Predaplant monsters. So that felt kind of weird. I'm playing a bit of a more like hybrid list with Patchworks and Despia. So yeah, we can go over that. But yeah, so basically this deck was already ready before that. So this focus on regional was a week before Hartford, but we didn't want to publish the list because of people playing Hartford. That being said, yeah, let's kind of go into it. So the main idea is that it's a Despia deck that is able to play different pushes and play through different hand traps. So we're playing the Predaplants. It's triple Scorpio, triple Biolisp, 1 Bufalica, 1 Cobra, and 1 Clammy. That we call something else. So yeah, these ones are kind of the search targets for the Biolisp. And Cobra is the brick. And Scorpio is like the main starter. This is the one you want to draw the most. So this one's the one you probably know from back in the day. Scorpio discards a card to summon a Predaplant from the deck. Back in the day, it is used to summon Predaplant Darlington Cobra most of the time. But this deck is very rare that you actually summon Cobra. What you usually do summon is Predaplant Clammy. So the most normal play is that you go start Scorpio, you go Scorpio Effect. Let's just do it this way. Scorpio Effect, you'd summon Clammy, then you go Clammy Effect, and you'd fuse both of those into the new Predaplant fusion released in Dimension Force. Predaplant, whenever I find it, Ambu. So Ambu's like very good because then the Ambu allows you to tribute itself. Sorry, on summon, it allows you to search for a Predaplant card. So you get to search for either Bufalica or for the trap card, the Predaplanty. So you search for either or most of the time. And the other effect is that you get to tribute a monster you control or a monster with a predator counter, so you usually tribute itself, and you summon the Darlington Cobra, and then the Darlington Cobra can search either Instant Fusion or Branded Fusion. Well, it technically searches Polymerization as well, and Super Poly, which actually comes up in this deck. But mainly it searches one of those two. Instant Fusion means you can summon Millennium-wise, so you make sure that your Branded Fusion resolves through like a Hell Dash, and Brandfu is how you get to the rest of your play. Also relevant is that it gets Brandfu while putting a monster from the extra deck in the grave, which means that we get to keep our Albion when we go Branded Fusion, which I'm gonna show in some of the combos. But yeah, the Predaplant engine is like very strong. Orpheus Scorpio resolving ends on like the best Despia board possible, so that's very cool. So yeah, this is Biolisp, the other one you play 3 of. It's basically a searcher, so whenever this card touches the grave, you get to search for a Predaplant. It has a second effect that when there's a monster with Predator counter on the field, this person summons itself back and it's banished. This is kind of relevant to use as fusion material. The main effect's the first one. Discarding is very prevalent in this deck between Lubellion, Opening, and Scorpio. So this is a good pitch from either. This is good to fusion of like the Patchworks as well. And yeah, so basically it means that like Opening plus Biolisp is like also a very strong a very strong hand, because it means that like you summon Alubur, you chain block Alubur with this, the Alubur gets Brandfu, this gets Scorpio, you get your normal Scorpio while already having Branded Fusion, and then you just go from there. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Then the Cobra is the Garnet kinda that you need to summon, and the Bufalica is Polymerization. So this card is for all intents and purposes poly, it just goes in the Pendulum scale. It's very cool because it's a searchable poly, which is going to come up a lot in the lines, as well as it stays there, so it works for multiple turns. So yeah, these are the Predaplants. I don't like playing more because I don't actually think they're very good draws other than Cobra, other than Scorpio and Biolisp. Bufalikas are right, but Bufalika is not the one you want to summon with Preda Practice. So the Preda Practice lists played a bit more Pradas to accommodate for it, but then you start summoning things you don't want, or like you do that just to search a Predap card. So I thought that just going for a minimum was the best way to go. And then the 10th card, which you can kind of class as a Predaplant card, is Instant. Instant is like the God card, because Instant Fusion just gets to summon Ambu, and then Ambu gets to search a Predaplant and tribute to summon Cobra. So Instant Fusion is like a +3, because it's like, you summon this searches a Paul, you contribute, you can summon the Cobra searches Brangfu. So just off Instant, you have Brangfu, a monster on the field, Disengrave, and Poly in the scale. So like Instant Fusion is like insane. It also goes into Millennium Wise, which you can protect with the Branded Opening, and it's searchable by Cobra. So it's like whenever you already have Branded Fusion, Cobra has another real target. This card is like absolutely nuts in this deck. And then we play the Patchwork Engine, so it was triple Patchwork for a while. I kinda like Patchwork, but it can get a bit bricky sometimes. And you already have like an extra poly in the way of Bilisp. So this is like alright-ish. You could consider a third chain. It's like more powerful than playing the third Patchwork, but it's more bricky. I think 6 is enough. You could bump it up to 7. Sometimes you miss like the third Patchwork, but it's very unlikely you get to resolve all of them. So a lot of the extra searches of Patchwork you would get from chain by playing an extra one doesn't really matter unless you use it for discard fodder. So I think 6 is fine. These cards also make some cards in the deck a bit better, like the Bilisp. So I kind of want to play them, which is not something that's commonly done in this Predaplant list. And then the branded cards, so I played triple Brandfu and double Albus. You need to play double Albus because you need to resolve it twice, and your line doesn't go through Lubellion most of the time. So you need to play the second so you can resolve another one. This card's not awful to draw because you play Patchworks, and you can search the poly as well. So sometimes like it's actually alright. As well as being okay going second. It's another card that can discard the Predaplant guy. And Brandfu is an absolute bomb. It's part of the combo. We're gonna show it later. But yeah, Brandfu, good card. And then one card that people are probably not familiar with is Stay Sailor Romarin. This is a plant girl that when you Brandfu, you can send this as a light, and then when it sends to the grave, it sends another plant from the deck. So basically what this does is that it allows you to make Lubellion while sending Bilisp. So you can go do the full combo without having to go into Lubellion for this card, and it summons Albion, which is relevant, because in this line we usually want to fuse with the Albion into the early Stapelia, so you got to trigger it in Grave and end on Stapelia. So Romarin is a bit of a brick. This card is actually cuttable. I played without it for a while. I kind of wanted to include it in the list that made the video because it's part of the 2-card combo, but this is like probably the most cuttable card of this list, because most of the lines you can avoid going for it. And then you have one Snow for the Brandfu for Albion. This is the one you actually send more often. Like the more I played, I found out that I was sending Snow more often than I was sending the Romarin. Because a lot of the times you have an extra poly, you already have the thing, so you guys just send Snow as another layer of interruption. And then I play a bit more, a slightly heavier branded engine, I guess Despia engine you could say. So I was playing the triple openings and the Aluber. This just adds more ways to get your Brandfu, which is what you need. But I was playing a Red, a Trage, and an Adlib. The concept is, since this deck plays more polys, you get to afford playing these cards. This allows you to get like another target for the Aluber. So a lot of the times when you already have the fusion, you get to search Red instead. Red, it means you can keep this going second instead of banishment, and it's a better card going second. These two are kind of shit. I mean, Tragedy is alright. Like you have a lot of cards that discard for effect, so Tragedy gets a good amount of value. Adlib is just bad, but you need the Adlib to end on the Chimera, Mirror Jade Chimera play. So you kind of need to play this. It also means that if you draw just Branded Fusion, it's better, because without playing these cards, just Branded Fusion doesn't actually do that much. But with these cards, it does the whole Mirror Jade Chimera setup. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Adlib is also kind of like comes up in like board-breaking game states, which can be relevant. I guess this should be in the end, the call by. One Super Poly. Why one? So the idea behind one Super Poly is that you don't actually want to draw this card, but you want to search it with Darling on Cobra and the Predaplant Mirror, because the way it works, right? in the mirror match, they make a board. And then the reason this deck is super strong in the mirror is that they make anything. They make like chimeras. They have chimera setup. They have mirror jade, whatever. You go normal summon Cobra, no Scorpio. You go Scorpio effect. They don't end on negates usually. They don't usually end on Sapphire. So this resolves, right? And then you summon Cobra. You go Cobra effect. They are forced to start flipping their cards. Because what happens is that if they don't like flip Branding Red, they don't go Mirror Jade effect, you get to just search you search Super Poly, and because you're turn player, you have priority. So you search Super Poly and you go Prio Super Poly. And then you get to fuse their guys away, so their red can summon Chimera, their Mirror Jade goes to grave, and it goes like full catastrophe mode. So this is the reason this deck is like very favored in the mirror. You have like basically searchable extra Super Poly to Cobra. And I don't think it's Super Poly super well positioned right now, but you still want to play one just for the mirror match. So yeah, and then these are here, and then 3 Pot of Prosperity. Prosp is good. You need more ways to see your good cards. You get to filter through the missing combo piece. It's a bit more annoying in this list, which is a patchwork list, that if you do this going second, you can't summon Chimera. But most of the time, I would say it's fine. It's like the only conflict is Chimera. You can banish 3 comfortably. 6 is a bit of a stretch. Going first, you can do 6, especially because you just hit Chimera of this. But you need to be very aware of what you banish here, because a lot of the times this kills like your turn 3. So if you're going for 6, you need to make sure that your board won't get broken. So props are good. That's just very good Yu-Gi-Oh card. And then 1 Predaplanning and 1 Branded Banishment. So Predaplanning is the Predaplant Trap card. You search it off Ambumoides. And basically it makes every monster in the field level 1. It puts a Predator counter on everything. It sends Biolisp, which searches 1. And in the grave, when you fusion summon for a dark monster, you banish this and you pop a card on the field. This card is very cool because it makes Drago Sapelia basically like a large-ass skill drain, because it puts a counter on everything. It also searches another card. And in grave, it's a Mystic Mine out, which is one of the main reasons I like this deck, is that it's Despia, but it main decks an out, a searchable out, so your board actually doesn't lose to mine, because they mine you, and they're forced to basically pass, because otherwise you can like banishment your board away into 1 monster. And then when they pass, you go Predaplanning, you send the thing, and then you go banishment, you summon something, you Predaplanning, pop the mine, and then you just kill them. So Predaplanning is very cool. This card also has very good utility into Sword Soul, which is prevalent, because it puts other monsters level 1, so they can't really synchro with them. That's kind of cool. And then you play Banishment because your usual combo doesn't actually end on a Despia monster in grave. So it's relevant that you play this one, because this one you can just revive the Albion, as well as being very good in the mirror match. This card is kind of bricky though, but you need to play it, because otherwise you can't really go reliably enough for the Predaplant line. And then you can play an amount of non-engine. This list is on 42, if I remember correctly. So it had like 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and a Callby. You can also choose to play other things. I played Crossout for a good while, so it was like triple Crossout, and then like an Ash, an Imperm, and an Ash and Imperm and a Crow, or an Ash, Imperm, and a Veiler. I think either or works. Crossout's very good if your format's filled with Despia mirrors, but the way the format's going, especially with like decks like Punk Synchro being popular, this deck kind of suffers because it can't play the amount of non-engine it needs to beat those decks. But yeah, I would just say like you can play like 6. You can also just choose to play like more cards, like 44, and just play 9. But then your deck loses a bit of consistency, so it's give and take. And you play Callby because you play Callby. And yeah. So that's it for the main deck. Extra deck, really quickly, Despia cards. So double Mirror Jade, triple Albion, 1 Lobelion. You never ever make the second Lobelion, you don't need it. Triple Albion is mainly because you make 1, you dump 1 of Mirror Jade, and you need to make the third one, turn 2. But this is one of the Prosps banishes, most of the time. You can like banish this and this from Prosp, for example. And you can get away with it. And yeah, Lobelion comes up when you go for the red line. Some lines as well, you just make Lobelion, like you go like Albion, then Albion summons Lobelion, and then Lobelion summons Mirror Jade. Because when this happens, it means that you can keep the Albion on field to fuse with it. As well as whenever you want to dump Tragedy. So we would need to play Lobelion. And then for the Predaplant ones, 1 Starving Venom Greedy Predapower Fusion fucker. This card is very good in the mirror because it's 3/6, so it's very hard to out. Whenever it dies, it summons a guy back. and as well as it's a nominee negate by tributing monsters in the field with a Predator counter. So what happens is that the trap puts Predator counters on everything, and then you banishment summon this. And this is able to tribute their monsters to negate their cards. So this card is like very, very cool. And then you play Triff. Triff is 3 darks, so you summon it with banishment as well. It's very good into dark decks. It also comes up as a super poly target in the mirror, because a lot of times they end on multiple darks, especially fields with Masquerade. So it's kind of cool. It also has a second effect that people don't know. If there's a monster with a Predator counter on the field, it summons itself back. So this comes up, and it's a nominee negate. So this is better than like going for this against Sarzo sometimes. So you need to keep aware, because this beats Vishuddha better. So yeah, you play those 2, and then you play Chimera Phlesia, which main job is just to be a fusion that you bridge with when you have like Patchwork. So for example, playing this means that Patchwork plus Biolisp is combo, because you get to go Patchwork at Poly Chain, Poly the Biolisp and the Chain into this, because it's a Dark plus a Predator, and then that Biolisp searches a Clummy, you normal the Clummy and you fuse with it. But when it goes to the grave and you use it this way, you also get to search for the for Super Poly or Brandfu, so or instant whatever, but mainly Super Poly or Brandfu, which is kind of cool as a utility piece. But yeah, this comes up, and then you play double Stapelia, as the board usually ends on 1, and then you can use the banishment to make the second, as well as just coming up in the grind game. You just poly for this at some more points, so playing 2 Stapelia is definitely needed. And then the 1 Ambu, which is the best Predaplant fusion. You don't need to play more than 1, because you can now just recycle it with Lubellion, and most of the time, like, whenever you get to doesn't resolve, you win anyways. It's unlikely that you need a second. So I think 1 is fine. And this card is like absolutely broken. like broken. And then 1 Masquerade, because you play the Despia monster, sometimes you want to fuse with them. Masquerade also gives you a win code in time, and you can end on this randomly when you have like extra polys. But yeah, main reason you play it is just because you can super poly away your own Despias, so it makes super poly a bit better. Sometimes you can randomly red into this to like push, like when you go for a game and they have some life points left. So yeah, it comes up enough. I played Quartis for a while over this, but I think this comes up slightly more than Quartis does. And then 1 Chimera, because you have the red line that does this. And you have the just poly for this going second, or poly or using this KO guy. So Chimera is very, very good. Note on this one, there's a common mistake people make with this deck. I think it happened to Pac on stream, which is an honest thing. It can happen. You can actually make this with Predaplant Clummy, but Chimera has a line of text that says, if this card is fusion summoned by a spell card or effect. So some people thought that you could use Clummy to fuse this to out anti-spell, but you actually can't. I mean, you can fuse it, but you can't out it. So this is relevant to keep in mind, to not make this mistake, because I made it once playing, because I didn't read Chimera, I just assumed it popped. So this is very relevant to know. And then the 1 Millennium Wise is very nice, because the instant fusion is searchable, and you can protect this with branded opening. So what happens a couple times is that you have the Predaplant play, but you already have branded fusion, so you just use the Cobra to search the instant. You instant for this, and in the end phase, when it would be popped, you just banish the opening to protect it, so it's under a layer of interrupt. It also makes sure that your thing will resolve in a second, as well as being very good into Sword Soul boards. Like, if you go instant fusion into a Sword Soul board, they can't Kishing long beyond it, because if they go Kishing try to banish this, you can just target like another negate, and then it forces the other negate. So it trades well into their board. So a lot of the times this comes up from instant going second. That's kind of cool. So yeah, that is the list itself. Now I wanted to have the 1 card combo, 1.5 card combo. So let's say we have Scorpio and we have any monster. So how much does this do? Which is the main line of the deck. So you'd start with Scorpio. We go Scorpio effect, discard the Ash, or whatever monster we have, right? Just summon the Clummy. That I don't know where I placed. Here. So you go Scorpio summon the Clummy. You go Clummy, fuse away with the Scorpio into the Ambu. Ambu's first effect activates. So here you have two choices. This combo can end with Predaplanning or with Snow. I'm going to do the Predaplanning version first, but I will explain how you could have bridged into just any on Snow. So you'd search Predaplanning here, and then you go Effect of Ambu, attributes itself to summon the Predaplant Cobra. Cobra activates to search Branded Fusion. So now our hand is Brandfu and Planning. From here it's kind of game on, so we can start with Brandfu. We Brandfu dump Albus and Star Sailor Romarin. So this is the scenario that Romarin comes on, because it means that we can make Albion while dumping this. So we'll make the Albion. We'll go Chainlink 1 Albion, Chainlink 2 Romarin. So Romarin dumps the Predaplant guy, and Albion banishes the Ambu and the Albus. So it banishes these two, and it summons Mirror Jade, and then the Bibelisp triggers. So Bibelisp would search for the Poly, which is Bufalico, and then we go Branded, activate Bufalico on the scale, Bufalico effect, fuse the Cobra and the Albion into Dragostapelia. You set the Predaplanning, and then in the end phase you would get the Trap card, the Banishment. So you end on Banishment, Planning, Stapelia, Mirror Jade. What does this do? So this is a pop, a banish, and a follow-up piece, because you're going to send another Albion to get another Branded Fusion next turn. Stapelia can target a monster to negate and make it level 1. Predaplanning is going to send the... So it's going to send a monster, so during your opponent's turn it sends a Bibelisp. So it negates everything on the field. The Bibelisp is going to search one. It searches like usually a monster, it's just going to be used as fusion material. And because you have Dragostapelia on the field, every monster that your opponent controls is negated on level 1. So this is basically like a big imperm and a search as one. And then Banishment is super poly, so you'd summon like this back. And then what you can do is that you usually Banishment summon this, and then after you use this and you use the Predaplanning as negates, you can fuse these two, assuming their monsters can't be super polyed. You can use these two to make the Starving Venom Greedy Fusion guy. This triggers Predaplanning, which pops a card they control. And now, whenever they activate a monster effect, you get to tribute a monster with a Predator counter. So basically, any monster they would have. You can also tribute technically the Mirror Jade, because this gains a Predator counter from the planning. And to like be a Nomine negate. So you end on basically 2 negates, a banish, a Nomine negate, and a pop, and 2 follow-up pieces, because you'll have like the Mirror Jade dump and whatever you search from this, and this stays on scale. So yeah, this is pretty good. The other way you can do this play, that is the one that goes into Snow that I explained, is that instead of searching Predaplanning, you'd have searched this of Ambu, and then the Branded Fusion would just have sent Snow. So you basically don't end on Planning, but you end on Snow Engrave. So both lines kind of work. This line's better into Mystic Mine, so it's one of the reasons I like going for this one. But a lot of the times what happens is that you actually can search Planning, and you have some access to Poly because you drew a Bilisp, or because you drew Patchwork, or like one of your 6 polys, or Chain, that kind of things. So most of the time you can do everything, but this is like the basic like 2-card combo. Not 2-card combo, like basically how the Predaplant engine works. And yeah, I think that's mainly it. It's a bit late. Ideally those have been earlier in the format, but you know how things are with tournaments. We can't always release everything because we have other people playing. I'm not the only person working this deck, so bear with me. A couple people asked me for this list, so I'm glad that we got to deliver it at last. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions about how the deck works, the ratios, whatever. If you want to see maybe like a full-on combo video with hands for this deck, we can also think of working on that. But other than that, yeah, that's mainly it. And yeah, shout out to our sponsors, Card Market, MetaMat, the Brotherhood Games, Gamers Apparel. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, the Metafight, the links are in the description. And yeah, see you guys next time.